All right. Welcome to a new location. What is a very boring, blank, empty, and I can only assume to be boomy room. I'm sure the audio for this video is going to be absolutely fantastic because that is in my previous videos the audio has been pretty bad, and so it's just gonna keep being bad. Really using that music minor. So I have made a ton of progress on the new music system. A lot of the other people on the team have been making progress on some other really cool things. We've got some more people contributing. Always great. Life for me recently has been really, really crazy, whether it be personal stuff with moving and all of that, and also my professional life. With my real job, a lot of deadlines coming up, and so OpenMarch kind of had to take a back seat for a while. But there's still a lot of really exciting things that I want to show you in the new music system that is going to be available for preview when this video launches. So I'm just going to hop into it because this has been in the works for a while. So we have OpenMarch here, as a lot of you have become very familiar with. But I want to, first of all, I want to show you this new launch page that we made because it is really, really cool. So you can close a file and it has this sort of gradient look to it, which is super cool. You can report a bug from the launch page, which is also really cool. Switch to light mode, switch to dark mode, all of that. So yeah, wait, hold on. Let me make sure I don't dox myself or open a file that you're not supposed to see. There we go. Okay. So first thing that's going to happen is, well, actually, let's just create a new file. 009 a video. Okay. So first of all, I want to switch to dark mode. So typically what you used to do in OpenMarch when you wanted to create new things or wanted to make pages is you would go here, you'd be like, add a page, and you're like, okay, I want like 5 pages. Each of them have 8 counts, create pages. That's also not going to work right now. So that's very, very, very preview-like. But what you're going to do now is everything is going to be based off of the music that you put into OpenMarch. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is you want to go to music, add an audio file. Hold on so I don't dox myself. I'm going to be adding what I've been using as a demo the entire time, which is the Washington Post March. So you get there, import an audio file, give that a refresh. There we go. And now on the bottom here, you see a waveform, which is super, super cool. In and of itself isn't really that important because a waveform is just a waveform, so it doesn't really matter. But it's what you can do with the waveform. It's what's on the inside that counts. So first thing that you'll notice, because I have broken this create a page. Oh, no, it works actually. That's very surprising. So you can create a page in there, but you can also, sorry, I'm zooming in so you can see. You can also create a page with this button right here, and it'll be 8 counts by default. Eventually there might be something like create a quick 2-page. But you try to create another one, it doesn't work, and I'll get to that in a second. When you wanted to change the counts of page, you used to have to go up here and be like, click, and like do 3 counts. Now you can actually drag the page to see how many counts you want, and you'll see that this timeline here is updating as that's happening, which is super cool. So let's say you want this to be like 6 counts. That's 8. Now it's 6. Same thing here. Let's say we want this to be 4 counts. 4. Add another one. Boom. All of these things. Very, very cool. All things that aren't really that different from the old OpenMarch. You can see these are all updating here. Here's what is different. If you notice, with these pages, we see these little tick marks, these little things. This is the core of how OpenMarch works now. I want to see if I can, let me, for those of you that don't really care about how it's stored, let me show you how it works. And then for those of you that do care about let me show you how a user is going to use it. And then for those of you who are interested in how it works, I will show you like the database structure and all that. So Oh, hold on. I'm skipping ahead. So the first thing you want to do when you let's pretend we're like at OpenMarch now. We've imported some music. We've created some page. The first thing you want to do when you want to define your tempo, you used to go into music, and then there used to be something to import in MusicXML. There will be MusicXML support. We're building a parser. Someone's helping me out with that. Thank you for all that work. But currently, what we are going to do a sort of more manual way. Takes a bit longer, but it's a lot more flexible and can fit more people's things. This is a good old tap the keyboard with a key to get the tempo. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to focus the timeline by clicking this button here. That's going to expand the timeline. You can zoom in a little bit. And now, critically, you are going to press tap new tempo. Now, what that does, you see it just cleared all the beats away. For now, this is sort of temporarily what we're going to be able to do. So we're going to go and we're going to press play, and it's going to look something like this. Now, there's a lot going on right there, and it looks pretty simple, because I hope it is. But here's a few things that are key points. You'll notice that in these new beats that we have created, we have numbers on each of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. These are measures, or these are going to be measures once you save them. They turn into measure numbers. So you see here, you have page 1, measure 1, measure 2, all that. And that's going to be very useful, obviously, for when you're eventually going to print this out and you want to know where your measures are. Now, how do you actually know which beat is on which each measure? That's because I'm not pressing the space bar or anything. I am pressing a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can press any number on the keyboard except for 0, and that will, after the measure is over, determine how many beats that measure is. So it sounds a little bit confusing, but let me give another example. So if I were to just press the one key over and over again, it would look like this. So see how there's a measure being created for each one? That's because, let me make sure you guys aren't getting deafened by that. Yeah, so see how there's a measure being created for each one? That's because I was pressing the 1 key. Same thing, let's try to press the 4 key. So you see there, with each time I pressed 4, there are 4 beats made in there. That's so you're not pressing 1 each time, and so we can automatically figure out what the measures are. Let's discard all of that. Same thing if we press something like 6. And you can do that, and these are very jumbled up. So if you wanted to, for example, let's say, let's do this actual, which is cut time 2/2. If I wanted to, in one measure, have a 3/4 feel, so da 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 da. Oh God, what would that be? Da 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 da. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't know what I mean, but let me just show you. So 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 2. So with that, I'm not sure if this would ever be something that would be useful, but you can switch the feel if that is something you're into, or if you want to go into double time or half time. All you really need to do is press the number of beats that you want that measure to be, and that's what it will eventually turn into. So let's go ahead and save these. You can also, with these beats, this isn't something that I predict is going to be all that useful, but you can move them around manually, which might be a bit tricky, or it might be a bit wonky for the real tempo. But what I am so focused on is not precise tempo precision, which is not exact tempo precision, because I don't think people are actually going to care about that much in OpenMarch. I think what I am really focused on is people being able to attach their pages to something that pretty closely aligns with their tempo. I would like hyper precision, but for right now, this covers the most bases, even though it's going to take a long time. If I did this, I would have to do this for a minute or so. But the benefit of this is that it can help me do any sort of deccelerando. So if I had a slowdown, all I would have to do is press, I'd have to press the measure at the end of the deccelerando, and then I could just manually adjust the beats there. Save. Another thing that you can do here is if you also, it doesn't scroll, just because it doesn't scroll automatically, at least, and I want that to happen. But like if I, for example, wanted measure 26, if I wanted, no, let's think of this hypothetical. What if measure 25 was a sort of very long pause? Well, all you would really need to do is move this very far away, and that's a really long pause, and then you just wait there. Yeah. So again, it's very currently hacky right now, obviously, or not hacky. It's just not very, the interface of this and how you're actually going to edit your beats isn't very polished right now. And I absolutely acknowledge that, but I do think that this is going to cover a lot of bases for a lot of people, especially if you have movements that are only a couple minutes long. It's not like it's going to be a crazy thing, and it's just sort of one, set it and forget it. Now, that's going to be useful for things like live audio, or if you're trying to transcribe your favorite drum corps show or an old marching band show of yours. For people that have access to the music, like the MusicXML and eventually the MIDI file, we are hoping to have support for something that can just import that and make that adjust the tempo here. It's not going to happen in this 0.0.9 alpha, but it will happen eventually. So another thing to note is if you try, and why I'm calling this 0.0.9 alpha, because one, the UI isn't very polished, and two, there was a lot of changes to the database. So if you want to, let me make sure, if you want to try and open a file like this one, x25, this was made with OpenMarch 0.0.8. If you try and open it, it's going to give you a freak out, and it's just not going to work. And eventually it will, but there were a lot of database changes. So for now, if you're going to use 0.0.9 alpha, you're going to have to need to use a newer version, or just create your own file. Okay, cool. So that's that for all of the new features. If you're interested in actually seeing how I don't know if this is how the sausage gets made, but like how this exists, because there was a lot of work that I put into making this a better system for storing music, and I think I'm pretty proud of it, or at least I think it'll work really well. Obviously, there's many ways to do a lot of things, but this is sort of what we came up with. So let me open. Here we go. Okay. So what you are looking at here is the schema for the database that we have. So, oh wait, hold on, this is not real. Cool. All right. So let me show you the other one as well. So this is that one. Okay. So what we used to have is you used to have pages, and for each page there would be a marcher page. And each page had, you can't see what this is because each page would have counts. And that's how you did it. And then how we determined counts, where we had a measure table in here that stored this long thing called ABC notation. If you've never heard of ABC notation, it's just basically a way to store music in text format. It's pretty cool. But that's how OpenMarch would store music, is it would convert your MusicXML into ABC notation, and then it would parse the ABC file or the ABC text in the database, and then convert that into timing data, which the pages would then latch onto based on how many counts they have. Now, the limitation with this was that everything needed to be defined by ABC notation. If ABC couldn't do it, or if it was if ABC couldn't do it, or if it was not a, what's it called? If it was not very intuitive to do, then we were limited by that. So what I decided to do instead was make everything, rather than just putting the counts in the page, because in the page, that means we don't necessarily know if there's a deccelerando or anything, or like if there's a big pause or anything. Again, all of that would have needed to happen with ABC notation. With the new system, which looks a lot more complicated because it is, we now have this idea of beats going into measures and beats going into pages. So at the core of the timing system of OpenMarch is our beats. Our beats have a few things. They have a duration, which is just the amount of seconds that a beat is. If you have quarter note equals 120, then your duration is half a second. So you have a duration, you have the position, which is like literally the number, and then you have like this include in measure Boolean, which I haven't really done anything with. I'm thinking of things like big pauses. And then from these beats, we have measures. And measures, we have measures and pages. And both measures and pages have this foreign key called a start beat. So all the measure and page knows is what beat it starts on. The page doesn't even have a name in it. The measures don't even have a name in it. It just knows I start on this beat. So if we have 8 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have a page starting on beat 1 and a page starting on beat 2, or on beat 5, the pages are going to know what order they are in based on the order that the beats are. And so we're just latching on to that, which helps us do a lot of things like figure out the naming super easily, figure out where the measures are really easily. And it lets us sort of do anything that we want with time. One of my biggest gripes with this system that I'm still trying to figure out, and I don't really think it's that big of a deal, is storing, rather than a duration and a position, a timestamp. I think I'm fine with duration and position because, one, I already coded it, and two, timestamps can be derived from that, which I do. When we parse the beats, we can just add the durations and then a timestamp is created. But from this system, we can do a lot of things. We can export like a sort of metronome style thing where you can have a sort of timing structure for your show, like maybe in like a metronome app or something like that. And so all of that is things for the future that I definitely want to look into. But critically, the biggest thing with this is that you are able to effectively do whatever sort of tempo thing you are going to want to do. We are now not limited by just what ABC notation can do. The only thing we're limited by is the skill of us as a development team to make an interface for you to make beats that make sense. So the tapping keyboard thing is our first step into that. But for example, for this thing, you might just want to have a very fixed tempo, or you might want to import a MusicXML, you might want to import a MIDI, you might want to do all of these bulk editing tempo actions, and all of that is going to come with time. But it's just something I need a lot of UI help with, or like user UX help with. So if that's something that you are super interested in, definitely let me know, because I think that is going to be our biggest pain point as we try and implement this new music system. And I don't think it's going to be a job that's ever necessarily finished. Like, it's just, I mean, that's what this whole project in general, but like this is going to be something that's going to take a lot of just hours of making a UI that makes sense. So like, let me show you an example. If we want to in our, like, for example, I tapped all these beats, but what if I want to what if I wanted to grab beat 9 and shift and move beat 9, but also shift all of the beats behind, like all of them. Like there's time that it takes to make the user understand what's happening and like selecting the beats and changing the color. None of these things are individually that hard. There's just a lot of them. And I'm predicting this area down here is going to have a lot of like buttons that's like slow down the tempo, or like push all tempo back after this beat, or create a fixed tempo, or like if your keyboard strokes are like, sort of out of time with each other, maybe a quantization thing of some sort. Again, all things that I really want to do, I just need help with. So as always, this is like the second time. The best way to support this project is in two ways. One, you can monetarily support us, which is very helpful because we are starting to invest in more things and more services to help us build this faster. And so that can happen through Patreon, which I believe there's a link on our website, openmarch.com. And then, of course, through merch sales, because I love the merch. I'm not wearing it right now, but I do wear the merch a lot of the time because it's very good quality. store.openmarch.com. Please go out, give us some support, show off some OpenMarch swag. And then the next way you can contribute, which a lot of people have already done, and I'm super grateful for, but is with development help or project help. We need any sort of, if you are like a developer of any sort and you look at some of these problems and you're like, I would love to learn React a bit more. I'd love to learn about databases a bit more. I'd love to figure out how my expertise can fit into OpenMarch. This is a really fun project to work on. So even if it's just like you help with one feature, that's what open source is about. It's really nice when we can just, someone does something and then it's just part of the project forever. Because I really think people are already using OpenMarch, and the only place we can go from here is up. So that really motivates me to keep working on it. And I would love for someone else for other people to find a way to integrate their passions into making this project move a little bit farther forward. So yeah, as always, join the Discord community if you have any questions. And yeah, I will see you all as soon as I can. I don't necessarily have a schedule for these.